everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a 24 and 48 hour reading vlog. I have been in kind of a reading slump for the past couple of weeks and really trying to get over that. So I thought the way to do that was to do a 24 and 48 hour readathon this weekend. I'm not doing anything else, so figured it was a good time. This is also working towards G from Book Roast's readathon, which is Aurelium, and Aurelium, I think it's called the Aurelium Magical Readathon, but I am trying to complete 9 books for that readathon, so I figured I would try to squeeze in some of those books this weekend, as well as read some more books from my physical TBR. So let me walk through the books that I plan on reading this weekend. Okay, so first I guess I'll go over my kind of classification on the Magical Readathon. So first of all, my character's name is Amarilla, which I just came up with randomly at some point. I am from the guild, the House of the Arcane. I am an I'm an Iltirian. It took an embarrassingly long time for me to try and pronounce that. I'm from Dark Meadow. My conduit is a wand, and I think that's all the info that's needed. And the profession, I guess, the thing I'm going to school to be is a alchemist, and that requires 10 different prompts to be fulfilled. I have completed 2 already. First is Alchemy, which is a book with romance, and that is, for that one I read Scarred by Emily McIntyre, which is a romance. It's part of a kind of Disney inspired retellings series. This one was about, I guess we would say, Scar from The Lion King. And then I also read This Is Going to Hurt by Adam McKay, which is a collection of, I guess it's like diary entries from Adam Kay, who used to be a doctor. Now I think he's a TV writer, but that was for Restoration, which is a book featuring healers. So those are the 2 that I've already done, and there's 10 in total, so I really gotta get my shit together and read some more. I'm hoping to do 3 prompts and then get a good ways into my 4th prompt. So the 4th prompt that I'm only trying to get like partway through, because it's a really long book, is a book that I'm very excited about. I'm already reading it, and I just lost my bookmark, that's great, is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I read, if you can see it over here, the Faithful and the Fallen series, the first book last year, which I did really enjoy, and the last 3 books this year, which I am obsessed with that series. There's this one line from the final book, which I obviously won't say because of spoilers, but that I just, when I think about it, I almost want to cry. Like, it just makes me really emotional, and I just, oh my god, I'm obsessed with that series. So if you've read the first book and found it kind of boring, which I didn't find it boring per se, but it definitely wasn't as good as the other 3, please continue. It is so good. Like, some of my favorite characters, some of my favorite books ever. So I'm hoping that this will be kind of similar. So we'll see. This is for Demonology, which is a book including the word shadows. Okay, and the next book that I really want to read is for Astronomy, which is a book that's on the top of your TBR. This was recently added to the top of my TBR. I was like kind of interested in it, but then I went to the bookstore and I saw the cover, and oh my god. It is The Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. Like, just look at this. Oh, it's stunning. Obsessed. And I've heard from everyone who's read it so far, which is, to be fair, only a couple people, that it's fantastic, so I'm really excited. I haven't been reading very much YA this year. I think I've only read 2, and one of them was a reread, and it was for a readathon, and I couldn't think of anything else for the prompt. So I'm not in my YA era right now, but I'm really looking forward to this one. This one, I don't know the exact synopsis, and I want to go in rather without knowing much about it, but I believe it follows a group of people who are trying to complete an art heist, and they're trying to steal art from a gallery or a museum, because the art in museums is often stolen from other cultures. So I think they're trying to steal it, you know? I don't know. I'm really excited about it because I've heard literally nothing but good things. Next is Inscription, which is an intimidating read. And for this one, I'm choosing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is one of the Penguin English library books, and this is intimidating to me just because I'm not a big fan of classics, and the ones that I've read in the past I found really boring or just difficult to read. So I don't actually know if this one's gonna be easy to read, if it's like accessible to people, but it is really short. I don't actually know how long the actual story is, because this one is a collection of, it's the main story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and then it also has other stories. So I don't really know. I think it's 74 pages in this, but I can also get the book for free on Audible, which is narrated by Richard Armitage. Is that his name? He played Thorin, or is his name Thorin Oakenshield in The Hobbit, so he has a great voice. So I'm excited to, I've been doing pretty bad with audiobooks recently. I only like audiobooks if they're nonfiction or if I read along with them. Otherwise I just have too many thoughts in my head and I get distracted, and then I'm like, what did I just listen to for the last 30 seconds? So audiobooks are not my friend, but this one I'm going to be reading it along while I listen to the audiobook. So I'm excited about that. And then the final book that I'm prioritizing for this weekend is The Push by Ashley Audrain. This is, I think, marketed as a thriller, but it's actually like a drama, I believe. This one I'm reading mostly because of Gabby from Gabby Reads. This is one of her favorite classified as thriller books, and she just like went crazy over this book last year, and it's one of her new favorite books, I think. So I'm excited to read it. I don't know anything about this. I don't really know what it's about. I didn't even read the back. I did read the first chapter when I was getting into my reading slump, so I didn't finish it. But the first chapter was this woman who was parked outside of her ex-husband's house while he was like inside with her kids and or her kid, I don't know if there was one or more, and his new wife, I believe. So I was like, oh, I don't know what this is gonna be like. So I don't know, we'll see, but I'm excited for that. These are the 3 books that I am prioritizing, and then we'll see how much of this I get through. But I am trying to take my time with this, so I don't want to read the whole thing in the next day or so. I really want to take my time with it. I don't think that's enough books for all of it to work. So in that case, if I do finish them all, sometimes I'm a slow reader because, like I said, I get distracted. Not just with audiobooks, it seems, but other books too. My mind wanders. It's annoying. In that case, I will, very different style of book. I will be reading One Piece, Story and Art by Ichiro Oda. This one was given to me by one of my friends because he's obsessed with this whole series, I guess, which is still ongoing. I don't know how many different volumes there are, but I started it. I finished volume 1, so I have volume 2 and 3, and then he also gave me the, I don't know, is it called a bind up? The bind up of the 6th or 4th through 6th, and then 7th through 9th. Is that math? So yeah, if I need more things to read after that and this, I don't know if I'm gonna want to read how many, 10, 9, 8 volumes of this in one weekend. I don't know, we'll see. Then I will keep you guys posted and let you know what else I'm going to be reading. Hello. So it is now 11:45 on Saturday. I started reading around like 7:30 a.m. and I am halfway through A Portrait of a Thief, or just Portrait of a Thief, and I was wrong, and it is actually not YA. Everyone in the book is over 21. On Goodreads, one of the like tags, I guess you'd call it, says it's YA, but it's definitely not. It does kind of read YA, but so far I'm really liking it. They are doing heists all over the world to try and collect the old Chinese kind of statues for the Chinese zodiac, and the person they're working for already has 7 of them, so they need to collect the other 5, and they've just pulled off their first heist. So I don't know how they're gonna do 4 more heists when I'm halfway through the book. But other than that, I also have listened to a little bit of the audiobook for Sex Cult Nun, which is wild. This is a nonfiction book about the author's experience growing up in a cult called the Children of God, and it is insane. I'm really glad to be listening to the audiobook version. It's not narrated by the author or anything, but it's like, it really just feels like a story. It doesn't feel like it was like real life, and it's crazy. In college, I actually took a course on cults, and it was like my favorite class I ever took in college. It was amazing. I really highly recommend it if you ever get the opportunity to take a class like that. It's fascinating. I don't think we learned about this cult though. I feel like I would remember that. But yeah, I am taking like a 10-minute break because I want to get some food, and then I'm gonna watch Gabby from Gabby Reads' reading sprints, which are starting in about 15 minutes. So I think I'm doing really well. I'm gonna still be focusing on Portrait of a Thief, and I really want to be able to finish this first, but I may kind of like switch off between reading that and listening to the audiobook because I am interested in that. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted, of course. Hello! So it is 3:42 in the afternoon, and I am almost 7 hours into the readathon, 6 hours and 42 minutes to be precise, and I just finished my first book, Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I have not put this through the rating system that I use, which is Cawpile, which is G from Book Roast rating system, but I think it's probably going to be around a 3.5. I did really like this, but I did feel like it was more of a character-focused story rather than a focus on the heist, which is totally fine. It's just when I went into this, I was expecting it to be much more about the heist. And while of course there are heists in this, they go by really quickly. So I was expecting it to be a little bit more exciting, I think. Like, it was by no means boring, and I really enjoyed the characters a lot. It just wasn't as like thrilling, exciting as I was expecting it to be, so that's kind of on me. But overall, I really enjoyed the characters. I think that Alex is probably my favorite character, but there were none of the main characters that I didn't like. I really liked all of them, and there was one relationship in this that I really loved, like a romantic relationship, but I won't talk about it for spoilers. And there was another romantic relationship which I was like on. When I read books, I want like exciting romances. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be hate to love, which is my favorite, but there has to be some sort of angst with it, and this other relationship, there really was like no angst, and so therefore I just found it kind of boring. So yeah, for that reason I didn't really like that relationship, but I still really liked both of the characters, and I didn't mind their relationship. I just thought it was boring, but I really liked the characters. And my only other complaint is that the writing was a little bit repetitive. Like, if I have to hear about, well, now I finished it, but if I had to hear this one character talk about how he could paint or draw this other character one more time, I was gonna yeet this book out the window. No, I wouldn't, because it's glorious. Look at it, it's so beautiful. So my methodology, my thing with books is that I don't really like to keep books unless I give them a pretty high rating, or if I think that I'm ever going to reread it. And this one I don't really see myself rereading, so normally I would unhaul it, but I just love the cover so much, so I may hold on to it. I'm not really sure. So I'd say this took me about 5 hours and 45 minutes to read, because the other hour I had been listening to the audiobook Sex Cult Nun, which I think I'm gonna continue on with for the next hour, so I can play some games on my phone and kind of be done with physically reading for a little bit. And then after that, I think I'm going to either read some of One Piece or start listening to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde while I read along. So I'll let you guys know what happens. Hello again. So I have now been reading for 10.5 hours, and it is just past 8 p.m. and I started at 7 this morning, so it's like hour 13 of this, so that's a lot of reading for today. But I'm checking in to say that I finished Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But yeah, so this was only like 75 pages, but I actually did really enjoy it. It was a little hard to read. It's not like the most accessible classic, I don't think, but it was short, it was action-packed. I feel like back in 1886 or whenever this was published, that plot twist is probably pretty wild, but since I'm sure most of us are familiar with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, obviously it wasn't a shock for me, but still, I did enjoy it, so I'm excited about that. And then I listened to probably another like hour and a half to 2 hours of Sex Cult Nun, which is just crazy. It's crazy that that's real. It's crazy that that is real, and there are probably still cults like that out there. don't know if that cult still exists in the same capacity. I guess we'll find out, but terrifying. It's so weird. Ugh, but also fascinating. So I'm really enjoying is a weird word, but I am, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's so weird to me. Since I listened to the audiobook while I read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and because I was listening to the audiobook, I kind of want to take an audiobook break. So I think I'm going to read a little bit of The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I haven't read any of this today, but yeah, I think I'm going to read this for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, see how much I can get done, and then from there I think I am going to start The Push, which you are sitting on top of, so I can't show you, but yeah, having a good time. I am tired, but I'm always tired, so I just need to push through and all is good. Hello. Okay, so it is Sunday now. It is just after 2 p.m. and I am, how many hours? 17 hours and 45 minutes, so almost 18 hours. So I only have about 6 hours and 15 more minutes left to hit my 24 hours. So I definitely think I can do that between now and midnight, even though technically the 48 hours would have started yesterday morning at 7 a.m. So technically I have until Monday morning at 7 a.m. But you know, I'm not gonna stay up that late because I have work tomorrow. But I did just finish The Push, my third completed book of the 24 hours. I loved this book so much. This book is so good. It follows our main character, Blythe, who is writing to her ex-husband, and she's telling her side of the story, which you learn throughout the book, obviously, what the story is. But basically, it starts with her retelling of like the beginning of their relationship, when she becomes pregnant with their daughter. And throughout the book, she talks about how she never really felt connected to their daughter, Violet, even from like when she was in the womb to when she was born. Like, she didn't really feel a connection towards her, and she kind of felt like Violet was maybe a little evil. And then it just goes on from there. I don't want to go too much more into detail. I did read the back, which does give more information, but I think it's better actually to go in without knowing too much about it. But I will say that even though this is classified as a thriller, I think it definitely reads more as a domestic drama, I would say. So if you're going into it looking for some like very thriller-esque type book, you're not gonna find it here, but it was so good. The ending, I was like 10 pages away from the ending, and I'd heard from people, specifically Gabby, that the ending like blew her mind, and I was like, how? This does not seem like it's gonna blow my mind at all. And then the ending is just like, it's not like it's a plot twist that you can't guess, but still when it happens, you're like, what the heck? Like, oh, it just like gives you chills when you read it, and it was so good. So I'm done with my third completed book. So I'm still planning on listening to hopefully the rest of Sex Cult Nun between now and the end of the day. I usually go to bed around midnight, so between now and midnight. So I have 10 hours to read 6 hours and 15 minutes worth. So I think I can do it. I do have to pick up my friend from the airport, but I will listen to the audiobook on my way there and the way back. But I think now I'm going to take a little break for a little bit, and then I'm going to read more of The Shadow of the Gods, which I'm about 105 pages into. It's not gripping me that much, but it might be the same situation I had with Malice from the same author, where I thought the first book was like pretty good, but was kind of a little bit boring, kind of like building up. And then the last 3 books are like my favorite books ever. So good. Oh, I love it so much. But I'm hoping that the same situation will happen with this. There's only 2 books out so far, I think. And I think the 3rd book is coming out this year, next year. So yeah, I'm still enjoying it, but we'll see. So I'll switch between those 2 and then maybe read some more One Piece, but I'm just like not really in the mood for manga right now. Hello again. I am checking in to say that it is 8:16 and I have reached the 21-hour mark. So I have 3 hours left, which will take me until 11:16 if I just read for 3 hours straight, which I'm not gonna do probably, but I am gonna set a Pomodoro timer. But I wanted to update you guys that I did finish Sex Cult Nun, and it was really, really good. I am not gonna rate it because I don't really rate nonfiction, but if you're just looking for like a wild ride, I would definitely recommend it. It was fascinating and heartbreaking and shock-inducing and crazy, and yeah, but I would definitely check out the trigger warnings for this one. The ones that off the top of my head are child abuse and sexual assault, but there's probably a bunch of other ones that I am not mentioning right now, so keep that in mind. I finished my 4th full book and I'm so excited. So for the rest of the time I don't have any more audiobooks to listen to, so I think I'm just going to be physically reading for the last 3 hours, but I am going to be reading The Shadow of the Gods. I've read like 1 chapter since last time I spoke to you, and if I want to take a break from that, then I'm going to either read One Piece, as I keep mentioning and not reading, or I'm going to read Frostheart by Jamie Littler. For the last 3 hours I'm going to be doing Pomodoro sprints, which if you're not familiar is where I use a website called, I think it's called tomatotimers.com, and you set a timer. The first timer is for 25 minutes, so you read for 25 minutes, then it automatically sends you to a 5-minute break, and then you repeat that 4 times, and then after you've done the 4th time it'll give you a longer break, and then you can repeat it as many times as you want. So my long break is 15 minutes, so that should hopefully take me until the end of the evening. Alrighty, sorry it's a little bit loud with the fan, but it is currently 11:53 and I just finished 24 hours. I'm very tired, so I think I'm going to wrap this up tomorrow morning, but I did get to page 260 of The Shadow of the Gods, and it's definitely picking up and I'm enjoying it a lot more. There are some characters that I really care about. There's like 3 main POVs, and I care a lot about one, a medium amount about the other, and then the last one I'm like, I enjoy, but when I get to her chapters I'm kind of like, okay, can we get back to the others? But yeah, this was a success. I'm so happy. So yeah, I'll wrap it up tomorrow morning. Bye. Hello. Okay, so it is the next evening. So it's been like a while since I finished the readathon, and I figured I would just wrap up everything I read. I already put all my books away and I don't feel like getting them out again, so I'm just gonna give you the stats. I started off by reading Portrait of a Thief, which I finished for a total of 369 pages. And then I read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for a total of 74 pages. Then I read The Push for a total of 275 pages. And then I listened to Sex Cult Nun at 386 pages. And then Shadow of the Gods I read 207 pages of during the reading weekend. So that comes to a total of 1,311 pages, and I did the math on my phone and it turns out to be around 54 pages per hour, which I think is pretty standard. I usually read about a page a minute, and Sex Cult Nun I listened to at 1.5 speed, so it was probably slower than I would have been able to physically read it. So I kind of round that up to maybe I could have read it in less time, so it probably would have turned out to be around 60 pages per hour if I'd read it physically. But yeah, I think that was really successful. I finished 4 total books and got 200 pages into another, so I am considering that a success, and I am enjoying The Shadow of the Gods, so I will continue to read that. But yeah, I just wanted to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, let me know. I want to try and film some more videos, so give me some recommendations for videos you would like to see, and I'll see you guys in my next one.